Released in 2009, this film, written and directed by James Cameron, would go on to become and still remain the top grossing movie of all time. A feat in visual design and computer-generated technology, it would go on to win 3 of the 9 Academy Awards it was nominated for, including Best Cinematography, Best Visual Effects, and Best Film Editing. With its sequel releasing this Friday, today it's a special We've Never Seen It episode of You've Never Seen It, where, of course, we are chatting all about Avatar. Welcome to You've Never Seen It, an audio podcast where I am on a mission to never hear these 4 words again. I am your host, Allison Salamone, and joining me today is a returning guest. You heard him on episode 18, where we discussed To Live and Die in LA. It's my husband, Frank Salamone. Hi, Frank.
Caltixi. I believe that's a Navi for hello.
It should be. Oh, gosh, Barney has a sock. Hold on. Hey, that's mine.
Oh, he'll be all right. He's good.
Can I have my sock back?
Let him do it.
Just have a hole in it. It's all good.
No, it's fine. It's his now.
I see you, Barney. I see you. So yeah, that's the other big thing that they say.
Oel Nyaki. I don't know. I'm not going to try to say any of these other ones. But Caltixi, everybody.
And for me, that is welcome. I'm excited to have you back, even though I live with you and speak to you every day.
Right.
It's nice to have you back on the pod.
It's all right.
But we're doing this episode today, which it was actually your idea because you as well have never seen this blockbuster of a film that's about to have its sequel released this week, and that is James Cameron's Avatar.
That is correct. I've never seen this movie. Never really wanted to see the movie. But every time we go and see a new movie, we see the trailer to the new movie, The Way of Water. And because we have AMC Pass, I'll go see that one in 3D.
Why not?
But I obviously have to see this one prior. So finally got around to it.
I would hope James Cameron, since he, waited 13 years to put out the new one, that maybe it's so people who haven't seen the first one could kind of, maybe he'll do like a previously on before the movie starts.
I'm pretty sure most people have seen it who are going to go see the second one. And if not, I'm sure they'll catch up like I have. Now that it's on Disney Plus, a lot of people have Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never saw it, mostly because when it came out, I was a broke college student, and everybody said you needed to see it in 3D. 3D IMAX. Yep. And I just didn't have the money to go see it. So I just never saw it, and I'll be honest, it's not, I shouldn't say it's not on a bunch. I'm sure it's on somewhere, but I don't ever really stumble across Avatar on television, on streaming, anything.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get to that, but it's a movie that's made more money than any other movie, and nobody really talks about it. It's very strange.
Yeah, the people who I know who talk about it are the people that absolutely love this movie. Or I have friends who talk about it in the sense that they don't like it. They think James Cameron is somewhat overrated with how he kind of does things, and just kind of very over the top. James Cameron does big. And I think that one of the things about this movie and what's kind of been interesting is the idea that when this movie came out, I know that it was talked about as being the next big kind of flop for Cameron, coming off of Titanic, and hearing people were hearing how huge this budget was, kind of getting an idea of what the story was. And like you said, it's now become the highest grossing film of all time. I mean, partially due to, it's been knocked out every now and then by a couple of Marvel pieces, but he just keeps re-releasing it. What are your thoughts on it having that title, or if you feel like it really kind of deserves it and achieves it for what he's trying to do?
Nothing's really deserved in any sense. I mean, Endgame's a great movie. Does it deserve all, the praise it gets because the amount of money I get. I don't know. Or the amount of money it gets. I don't really know. Obviously, you know, like that was a big like 20-something movie payoff, which is a little bit different than one movie. Obviously, more people are going to go see a 20 movie payoff, or like, you know, The Force Awakens being the highest grossing film in the United States domestically. I believe it made more than Avatar. You know, because people want to, you know, go see Luke Skywalker, you know, and Han Solo and Princess Leia again. So you understand that. This is completely out of left field. But what I will say is after watching it, I understand in a sense why it made as much money as it did. Mm-hmm. This is not a movie to just like watch at home, in my opinion. Basically what I feel like watching it at home, like watching it on the couch, I felt like I was watching like a bootlegged theme park movie. like if someone, you know, like back in the day they used to have on one of the Shrek DVDs, one of the special features was the 3D attraction or the 4D attraction at Universal. And it's like you're watching that without any of the special effects or the seats moving or the smells or the wind gusts or any animatronic stuff. You're just watching this at home and you're like, well, what am I watching here?
Yeah.
Like, this movie was clearly made with the intent of showing it in a 3D IMAX setting. It's a 3D movie. Like, that's what this movie is. And you can tell every angle of basically every scene moves. Like, the camera moves. The camera never stops moving in this movie. Every single frame of this movie, basically, outside of like the webcam shots when he's like vlogging, almost every scene, like the camera's moving as it's showing something. And I'm not an expert in any sense, but I do believe that helps show off the 3D. Like, if the camera keeps moving, you're gonna see the depth in everything. So, like, watching it on a normal screen, you just feel kind of shortchanged with what the experience is. That was always, like, my fear with this movie, why I never just got around to seeing it. It wasn't like I was against seeing it. Like, oh, screw Avatar. I'll never see that trash. Like, how dare it make so much money? I'm not that type of person. I just was like, I kind of knew what it was all about going into it as far as, like, what it was. And watching it finally, it kind of proved my point. It's like, yeah, it you know, it's not a bad movie. By any means. I don't think it's necessarily a great movie. It's, you know, it's nice to look at, but it definitely feels theme parky a bit.
I think you hit the nail right on the head with it. It's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. My issue with Cameron a lot of times is with the stuff that he writes is kind of how cheesy and very stereotypical his characters are. Like, you have the military guy who makes the cheesy one-liners about how, you know, it's my job to keep you alive and I will not succeed. Like, it's all very by the book, how, like, it feels like there's not a whole lot of creativity with some of these characters. But with that all being said, the fact of like what he had done with it was groundbreaking CGI at the time in 2009 when this movie came out. And it was a whole new method of doing things, the way that he did it. So while, yes, to me, it's not the greatest story or the greatest movie, I can understand why it's so big and so grand and got to where it is today.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a very basic plot. When you break it down, we've seen it a lot, you know.
It's Fern Gully.
Right. And Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas. I mean, we've heard this, you know, over the past however many years since the movie's been released. We're not, you know, discovering new territory here. You know, we're just finally getting to see that for the first time. But, yeah, I mean, you know, there were like some things that I was surprised by watching it in a sense. Like, I just never really knew. Like, the number one thing, I just never really knew that they were like as big as they were. The Na'vi. Like, they're, you know, you don't really see the scale as much until like towards the very end. I mean, you see it a couple times, but at the very end in the big battle scene, you know,
right?
You kind of get a lot of like human versus Na'vi, and you get to kind of see that. But yeah, I mean, you know, if we want to go back on James Cameron a little bit, I always say, and I still kind of say it, even though, you know, now I've seen Avatar, and he's got the new one coming and like 4 more after that. But I've always referred to James Cameron as the biggest waste of talent in Hollywood because, you know, in '84 he makes Terminator, and then he makes Aliens, and then he makes The Abyss, and then he makes Terminator 2, and then he makes True Lies, and then he makes Titanic. And that's in a span of 13 years from 84 to 97. He puts out all those movies, and then it takes him 12 years to make or to release Avatar. And I know that was supposed to come out a little earlier, or that was, supposed to come out like the late 90s, early 2000s, but he wasn't comfortable with the technology at that time. And now here we are, 2022, 13 years later.
Finally getting the sequel.
And we're getting the sequel to this. And it's like, I mean, okay, it's fine. I guess I'm happy now I'm caught up so I can see this one in 3D. Are they even doing 3D anymore? Is this going to be in 3D? Is 3D movies still a thing?
Yeah, it's all like all the Dolby ones at our theater are all Dolby 3D, and then you have Real D 3D, and then of course you have digital. So there's more opportunities to see it in 3D, but there is a digital screening for it, like a regular digital screening. But yeah, no, I'm on the Wikipedia page. He had planned to release this in 1999, but didn't like the technology at the time. So he started working on like the Na'vi language in 2005, and then developing the screenplay and universe all in 2006. The budget for this movie is estimated anywhere between $237 million to like final production being at like $310 million for this budget. So
made it back.
Yeah, multiple times. What is your top 3 Cameron movies out of the ones that you just listed?
That's tough. But I mean, there's not a ton of them to choose from. I'd probably say 1 Terminator 2, 2 Aliens, 3 True Lies.
True Lies is fun.
I'd probably say that. I really appreciate the first Terminator a lot. That one's really good. I mean, The Abyss is really good too. I don't think I'm missing anything in his lineup. I mean, Titanic's fine as well, but that's on the bottom of the list for me just because it's not a bad movie. I'm not one of those people that hate on it. It's just like, I don't know. I'm more of, when it comes to Cameron movies, I like his action movies and stuff. I just like them more. You brought up him and like the way he does characters. I think there's a place for that.
Yeah.
And I think Cameron is one of the people that do that well. I mean, he does the same thing in Aliens. Aliens, it's got the team of Space Marines, and they're all very cliched, different types of people. You got, from top to bottom, just like, a ragtag group of people. And, he makes popcorn movies. James Cameron's not a deep thinker. I mean, it's very cut and dry. I mean, he made Arnold Schwarzenegger a star. I'm just saying he did. He made Arnold Schwarzenegger a star. And that you're not going to do that in nuanced performances.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure,
like you're just not going to do that. So
sure.
This one particularly though almost just seems a little bit more basic than it's almost like he just refused to put any sort of personality into anybody because like the tech came first, and that's fine, but that's why I said it kind of feels more theme parky because I just really didn't feel anything for any character. Michelle Rodriguez's character was like just the most basic character, and like this is my baby, and not just that like she turns on obviously, but there's like no like struggle there. Sam Worthington is Sam Worthington. I mean, he's
so monotone.
He's just a guy. I mean, yeah, he's not great, but he's definitely not bad. Like, you're not watching it and being like, oh my God. He's just kind of like, I don't know. He's like an uninteresting, like Ryan Gosling type.
He's no Leo. He's no Leo in Titanic. I'm just kidding.
But they didn't really need that in that role. But I don't know. He's just Sam Worthington, You cut your leading man, you get on the lower because you got your money going towards the tech, and that's fine.
Sure.
Some of the voice actors were great. I noticed immediately the voices of Wes Studi. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's classic actor, and CCH Pounder.
CCH Pounder.
I noticed
for all
her
of our...
voice too. And then obviously Zoe Saldana, which real quick, Zoe Saldana's in 3 of the most successful franchises of all time: Avatar, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, she is, like, probably the most, like, top-earning actress. Not, like, top-earning, like, she's earned the most. Like, her movies have probably earned more than anybody else's.
Yeah.
Being in all those different movies. But, you know, that's just, I don't know if that's true. It would just seem that way.
It would seem.
Being part of all those.
Especially because the ones that she was a part of in the Marvel included Infinity War and Endgame, which both of those at certain points in time surpassed, or at least Endgame surpassed the Avatar as the highest grossing movie in the world for a hot minute until James Cameron put it back out, which I feel like that's just going to be the ongoing thing, is because nothing else is going to come close to surpassing Avatar again, I think, until this new one comes out.
Well, either way, Zoe Saldana will be in the top grossing movie of all time, and probably after Avatar be in the top 3 grossing movies.
Absolutely. No, top 5, because there's 5 of these coming out. So
that's true. Well, we don't. Yeah. Well, we don't know yet. We don't know the fate of the Na'vi.
We do not know the fate of the Na'vi.
This.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
Yeah, you know, it's your basic story of him, you know, integrating himself with the culture and learning more and more, and you just, you know, really what are the Ikran, or like horses, you know, basically it's like learning to break a horse. And,
those big old banshees.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the banshees.
Do you think we'll have more of an appreciation for the world of Pandora now that we've seen this over at Animal Kingdom?
Probably not. I don't know. I don't have a problem with the world of Pandora over there. I find, you know, it's, again, it's just one of those things. We'll get to it now, I guess. It's like, for a movie that's so big, it has 0 cultural impact on anything. I've never heard anybody quote it. I've never heard anybody refer to it. You've never seen, like, a clip of it on anything. It's not used in meme culture or anything. It just legitimately is a black hole of pop culture. Like, it's made all this money, but nobody can tell you anything about it. It's so strange to me.
Yeah.
It's just very strange. You know, it's like, it was kind of weird, like, watching the movie and realizing where I was like, damn, like, I have not seen 99.9% of what's on screen in this movie.
I had 0 idea what the movie itself was about. I just knew it had big blue people. I think I learned from, like, when we went and did the live taping of Podcast The Ride when it was here in Orlando a couple of years ago, and they covered the Flight of Passage. That's when I learned that what an avatar was. Like, right. I had 0 understanding coming into this movie, but I had seen The Abyss. And the way that I kind of, you know, agree or disagree, but I feel like The Abyss was what James Cameron was, or I'm trying to think how to put this. Avatar is what The Abyss was trying to be if he had had the technology at the time to do it.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know what I mean? Again, because it's the exact same storyline, just with less CGI and more Ed Harris.
Right. I mean, every movie he makes pushes the boundaries of visual effects and technology for the most part. I mean, you know, you have the Terminator. It has some effects in it that really don't hold up, but at the time, groundbreaking.
Yeah.
You know, you go into Aliens, and you know, a lot of people tell you Aliens is just, you know, a better version of Alien and a plussed up version, and you can see that, and the effects is so, you know, obviously much bigger budget than Ridley Scott had to make, you know, Alien. And then, you know, you go into T2 and you push, the Abyss, and then you go into T2 and you start pushing the boundaries of that with the T1000 that's all liquid metal, and that still holds up really, really well. And then you kind of move into True Lies, where he kind of dials it back but moves into the, like, grounded effects. That's where they blew up the bridge over in like the Tampa area.
Right.
And then obviously Titanic, you know, with the whole movie is a marvel in technology, and the way he did the boat and everything, and the whole second half of that movie is crazy. So he's always pushed it, and so I get it. But at the same time, like I said, it kind of why I consider him kind of a waste of talent, because, and I appreciate he pushes himself and he wants to release the best product he can. I just wish he did more stuff other than just Avatar, and he's attached his name producer wise to some stuff.
Right.
I think he attached his name to one of the most recent Terminator movies. And, that's fine. But, you can tell when there's a James Cameron movie and when there's a movie just with his name attached, because he put some money into it.
Oh, for sure. Because that's the one thing that I feel like with every single one of his movies that comes out, there's always, like you said, that idea of like, oh, and this one. So like for Titanic and the Abyss, it was the giant water tank. That was like the big thing with it.
Right. And now this one, The Way of Water, I think they did the same thing.
Yeah. And he's just, I mean, I can understand like wishing he did more for sure. But also like part of me is kind of fine that he doesn't, because I think the visualness of everything he does is great, and the visuals are great, but you need a story to push along a movie. And I feel like sometimes his stories are just super dry. No, don't get me wrong. I really wasn't until like this year or last year that I realized how much of a flop people said Titanic was. Because I was like 13 at the time going and watching Leonardo DiCaprio on screen. So it didn't mean anything to me. But I guess I never realized how much people disliked that movie.
Did they?
I feel, or maybe it might just be my circle of friends now at this point, but it has come across that people have called it technically, I guess, for James Cameron, a flop, given the amount of money that he put into it and like how it was returned.
I don't know anything about that, honestly. No, I mean, I didn't. I'm looking it up right now. I didn't know how much. I thought it made a bunch of money.
I did too, but
I thought a bunch of people went and just saw that movie over and over. I thought that was the whole thing.
I mean, I sure did. But that was also good because I was 12 and I loved Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, there's a lot of 12-year-old people. I mean, I don't know. A budget of $200 million. U.S. gross $650 million. Worldwide gross $2 billion. I think
it did a lot better.
Successful. I just think people hate it. I think it hasn't aged well for people. I think now people kind of look back on it and they're like, it's not really all that great of a movie. I think a lot of people were in it for the shock value of the second half of the movie and stuff like that. But, I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, I'm not sitting down to watch it, but
yeah, it did become the first film to earn $1 billion worldwide, and it was the highest grossing film in the world until Avatar. Did you know that before Titanic, it was Jurassic Park?
I could believe that
as the highest grossing.
Yeah, I could believe that.
Yeah, this is fun. this is fun stuff to look up, and it's so. I think you going kind of back into Avatar, and like the one thing that I kept coming back to is how pretty the movie seemed to be. I guess I don't understand. I've never really gone and watched a whole bunch of stuff in 3D, so I never really understood like the layering and that type of cinematography that goes along with it. But I do know that I don't know if I have if he re-releases it again, which I'm sure he will at some point in time, like when the third one comes out, you can go do a double feature.
Right.
Do you think you would go and see it in 3D at that point now?
Yeah, I might. The thing about this movie, at least for me, is like it didn't necessarily feel as long as it is. The pacing of it is kind of good. If there's like a good fast pace where he's like doing his little like reconnaissance missions as the Avatar. And it kind of cuts back between him as human Jake and Avatar Jake, like back and forth. And so it kind of made the movie feel a little, a little faster than it was. And then you got a good, 20-minute battle at the end that always eats up a good amount of time. But I don't know. Again, I'm just like, I'm lukewarm on it. I'll see how I feel after seeing the new one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think a big thing with me, and it's like, this is stuff that I was able to judge just from what I did see all this time, is the design and the look of the world of Avatar. Like, it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't do anything for me. It's cool when it's all fluorescent at night, but like the look of the Na'vi and the look of the Akron and the Banshees or whatever. Like, okay,
Yeah.
they're fine. The tiger thing that she was riding, like, okay,
Do you?
but not for, I don't know. It's just like,
Do you, and the only reason I feel like I can ask this because I know you would answer honestly. Do you think that if you had the ability to see this movie in 3D when you saw it, like when it first came out, do you think you'd be feeling differently than you do right now about it with how it looks and everything?
I don't think so, no. Because I just, even at the time when it came out and everyone was talking about how cool the aliens looked and stuff, I was just not on board. I just it's the design of everything just doesn't do it for me. The coolest part for me is all like the grounded stuff, like the mechs and the choppers that they're flying around in and stuff. Like that stuff looks all cool. I don't know, I'm just not really into the world of Pandora. It doesn't really do much for me.
I gotcha.
The Hallelujah Mountains don't do it for me.
I gotcha. So this movie in 2010 with the Academy Awards, it was nominated for 8. I'm nominated for 9 Academy Awards. Surprising, not a single one of them for a performance from an actor or actress in it.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised.
But it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Directing, Film Editing, Music Written for Original Score for James Horner, which I do think the score in it is really
the
pretty.
The score is fantastic.
It's James Horner, R.I.P.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Sound mixing and sound editing are all it was nominated for. And then the ones that it won, of course, was cinematography, visual effects, and art direction.
Right.
So, but not a single one of those has James Cameron's name on them.
what are the Best Picture nominees? I know that The Hurt Locker won that year. That was the big deal because Catherine Bigelow was his ex-wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And she won that, and I think she won Best Director that year.
She did, yes. I've never seen The Hurt Locker. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I did. Well, I saw it that year, and I did like it, and I remember being like really pumped. I'm like, yeah, like screw James Cameron. Like your big movie didn't win. I was a hater back then. But in retrospect, if it had to be between those two movies, Avatar is definitely, I would watch Avatar again before The Hurt Locker.
Okay.
I don't think The Hurt Locker for me has like aged very well in my head. But didn't Inglourious Bastards come out this year?
It did. It was nominated that year too for Best Picture.
Won Best Picture.
Agreed.
What else is up?
So for Best Picture, the winner was The Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
So you had The Hurt Locker, Avatar, The Blind Side, District 9.
That was a good underdog flick to be in there.
An Education. I don't even know what that is.
I don't remember that.
Inglourious Bastards, Precious, based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire, A Serious Man, Up, and Up in the Air.
I would still probably give it to Inglourious Bastards. I feel like over time, Inglourious Bastards has held up the best. But
I've never heard of A Serious Man or An Education.
Is An Education a Colin Firth movie?
Let me look that up right here.
It's Carey Mulligan and Peter Skarsgård.
Gotcha.
So no, I haven't seen that one. And then there was another movie set in there too. Oh, A Serious Man?
Yes, Coen Brothers, Joel and Ethan Coen.
Yeah, that's Michael Stolberg.
Do I know him?
Yeah, I believe he was just in Bones and All. I think what you just saw.
Oh.
Yeah, he was. I think he was in that. He was in what is the name of that? Call Me by Your Name.
Gotcha.
He was like the doctor in The Shape of Water and stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, Shape of Water is great. Inglourious Bastards did. Christoph Waltz got his got the supporting actor for that one.
Well, yeah, he speaks like 6 languages in it. Well,
it's amazing.
Realistically, I think 4, maybe 5.
So that was so now I'm like all into this. Oh, Up in the Air. That was the George Clooney movie, right?
Yeah, that was.
Oh, Colin Firth was in A Single Man, which was also nominated.
Okay.
for Best Actor. But I think, and then if I go and I look at I'm going to look, so for art direction went to Avatar. The things that was up against Sherlock Holmes, The Young Victoria, 9, Imaginary of Dr. Parnassus, like nothing else, it was obviously going to win that, and cinematography.
What won original score? If James Horner didn't win.
Michael Giacchino for Up.
Okay, fine. I'm not going to argue it, but
Michael Giacchino won for Up. The other nominees were Fantastic Mr. Fox for Alexander Desplat.
Yeah, he wins a lot.
The Hurt Locker, and then Hans Zimmer for Sherlock Holmes.
He's nominated all the time.
He's nominated all the time. They all are.
I will say I do appreciate this movie put Stephen Lang back on the map. He's the general in the movie.
Okay.
Kind of brought him back into the front. A few years later, he's in that one horror movie that I can't think of right now. The one where they got to walk around his house. He's the blind guy. It's not coming to me right now.
Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe, right. And then he's in a really good movie that I've really liked recently called VFW. It's like it's like a B-level horror movie, sort of. Really good flick.
Oh, he was in Hostels.
Yeah, he was. And then obviously everyone, probably knows him from Tombstone. Back in the day, but they kind of put him back in the map, and he started doing a lot of stuff after this, honestly. Maybe he was doing stuff prior to as well, but I honestly don't remember him in between. I don't remember him from a lot prior to this.
I mean, the only people I recognized in watching this was Sigourney Weaver and Giovanni Ribisi, personally.
Really?
That was all that and Michelle Rodriguez from Fast and the Furious, but everyone else I did not know or recognize or remember seeing in anything.
Well, the other guy who starts getting jealous of him,
Joel David Moore.
Right, he was in Grandma's Boy, so he would have been probably honestly he probably would have been the biggest face for all of us if we went and saw him in 2009, because we all would have said, "Oh, that's JD from Grandma's Boy."
Got it.
And then I am noticing here that one of the voices of one of the Na'vi is Mother's Milk from The Boys. And then I know the one doctor he had a big 2009, I think, because he was in Drag Me to Hell, and I think that was in 2009. And he was also in Inception, which was 2010. So he kind of had a little run there.
Wish we brought Michael Biehn into this one. I liked him in The Abyss.
Yeah, he's a James Cameron guy, so I don't know why he didn't. But 2009, he kind of wasn't doing a whole lot. So.
Yeah.
But I haven't even looked to see who's in the new one. I don't really care. If I'm being honest.
I mean, I feel like we're just gonna, at least from the trailers, now that I've seen this, I feel like we're gonna get pretty much the exact same story. That just with more water.
Well, it's obviously going to be because, at the end of the movie, they go to all the different clans.
Yeah.
They go get the help of all the different clans. And so see, now I am looking at people in here. So it looks like in this one, we're going to be getting somehow Sigourney Weaver and Stephen Lang again. So we'll see how that works. And then we'll get Cliff Curtis, who I can't remember. I might be getting my C movies confused. Maybe he's in The Abyss, but maybe he's not in The Abyss. I think he might be in Deep Rising. Edie Falco, Kate Winslet, Jermaine Clement. So we're getting a few new people.
We're getting some Jermaine in here. I like Jermaine.
What I'm gathering, at least from doing this, is it's going to be more about that other clan. Because there's how many 4 other clans or something on Pandora. There's the Water Clan and
the Horse Clan.
Forest Clan, the Horse Clan. Yeah. So and then we'll see what happens. I'm trying to sound more interested, honestly, than I am, because it just was what it was.
Yeah. It really was. It's one of those things where I don't know if it's because I
definitely didn't hate it. I might even buy it now to add it into the collection just to have it, because I obviously don't own it. I might just buy it if I see it, or if they come out with the collection eventually, I might get it. I'll be honest. I will say this, as someone, me, I'll walk down the action figure aisle here and there, and they do have some really cool looking stuff out now that looks like it's just the world of Pandora. It's not so much specific to one movie, and it's the big mechs and stuff like that, and it's cool stuff like that. But with a movie like this, like I said, I just don't know. Are kids excited about Avatar?
I don't know.
Like, kids that would be buying those toys weren't alive when the first Avatar came out.
That's what I'm saying. It's just why I'm wondering like how much of it really, I don't know. It's just I understand waiting for James Cameron's one of those. He very clearly likes to wait until the technology meets up with it. But did he really think the technology was going to change that much in like the 13 years to?
Well, I do know one of the like original goals, and I'd have to like look into the legitimacy, but I could have sworn I remember reading something somewhere where he was wanting, this was years ago, he was wanting there to be able to be a technology where you could watch a 3D film without like having to wear glasses, like we were trying to get there, and we were getting somewhat not close, but like we had the 3DS out there, that was doing that. We have, some augmented reality stuff that kind of works that way. Little stuff like that, but obviously we didn't get to the point where movie theaters just have screens where you could go see 3D movies without glasses.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be cool though. If it was possible.
But it just kind of shows that his movies are more like theme parky, or this movie's specifically is more like theme parky than it is a movie. It's like, yeah, I want people to be able to go see it without glasses. It's like, well, how about a good story?
That's exactly. I think that's what's nagging me a whole lot about this whole movie is there's so much emphasis, and I feel like that's what everyone talks about when they talk about Avatar, and people who love it are not talking about it because of the story or Sam Worthington's acting in it. They're talking about it because of how big it is and how beautiful it really can be.
That's perfectly fine. I will allow people to do that moving forward. Just because, like, honestly, after watching it, I understand in the sense like that's just what it was made for.
Yeah.
Like I can see now he wasn't trying to make a groundbreaking story. He needed the most basic story possible to just showcase the technology. That's why I said if this wasn't 2 hours and 40 minutes, you'd be able to watch it at Disney with some 3D glasses on. You'd be getting fog blown in your face, like
the new Captain EO.
That's like what it's made. Like that's what it is, and like there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
yeah,
we didn't really have a movie like that out in theaters where you can just like go and it's just kind of like moving pictures almost in a sense of like, and I don't mean obviously all movies are moving pictures, but like actual just like moving artwork. It's like, oh, so now you're a Na'vi and like you're learning how to like run. So let's watch like a couple minutes of you running along these branches. You know what I mean? Like It's not because it's riveting in storytelling. It's riveting visually
with how it looks, which then I think is again a detriment to, because then you have movies like Kong Skull Island that are also really big with really big visual effects. But I can watch that and not be not be annoyed that I don't have it in 3D. You know what I mean?
Right. And again, it also comes along of like, doesn't move. At what level is this movie taking itself? I would say Kong Island probably takes itself just a little less serious than this. Definitely is taking itself. I feel James Cameron takes this very seriously.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's like, this is his passion project. Like, this is his thing. This is probably all we're going to get from James Cameron moving forward.
Are these Avatar movies and nothing else?
I mean, he's an older guy,
It almost feels like at one point is how much is James Cameron going to start making these for himself versus making them because the people are asking for them? Because I know that
I think James Cameron makes everything for himself. No, and I don't mean that in a mean way. Well, I shouldn't even say that. I mean, he did like Aliens and Terminator, but like I've always thought James Cameron, like that's what I was kind of saying earlier, him pushing tech and special effects. Like I have a strong belief that James Cameron does make for himself, and if you like it, great. Like I mean, obviously he has viewership in mind, he has to, but. No, I think everything is his passion project. I think that's why everything he makes is quality, and he's only made 8 movies because he's been in the game since the 80s, and he's only made like 8 movies.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear the score for this one, because I mean you're coming off of James Horner on the first one, but obviously James Horner has since passed away. So the composer, I've not heard much of his stuff, but Simon Franklin, Frangilin, I don't know.
I don't know.
He did the score for like the Magnificent Seven remake.
Which was also that's what James Horner was doing when he passed.
Okay.
James Horner did, I believe, the theme to that one, and then someone had to come in to
finish it.
So he probably writes with the same, orchestra pieces in mind.
Cameron has him down for the next 4 Avatar
he probably
movies.
has James Horner's sound.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what he's done in between.
Not a whole lot. It looks like
Magnificent Seven and this.
He's done. I mean, it looks like he did a lot of TV movies. He did a short called Together, a movie called Peppermint, The Curse of Pteranodon, Notre Dame's on Fire. So he hasn't done like a ton of stuff. Right. It looks like. So this might kind of just be his big moment. So we'll see, but
power to him.
Yeah, absolutely. To jump in right here and take on Avatar. Obviously, Cameron likes him if he's already got him signed on to do the next 4 movies.
Right.
But so this could be the big one for him. No pressure, man.
No, I think he'll be all right.
How many awards do you think this is going to get nominated for?
I don't even know. I don't really I don't know. I mean, all the technical ones.
Sure.
It'll be up for Best Picture, most likely. Stuff like that. I'm sure James Cameron will be up. I don't know how many it makes.
Yeah.
This has been a very strong year for movies, so I don't know what's going to win off of recency bias. I mean, how long ago now is Everything Everywhere All at Once? That was back in March.
Yeah, like February, March.
So, like, that's got an uphill battle to even get nominated for stuff.
Sure.
I don't even know. I'm not turning this into an award show, but, like, I'm interested to see Best Directors, what happens, because you also have Babylon coming out, so that might be an easy push for Damien Chazelle, but, like, is Damien Chazelle going to be one of those directors? It's just he's automatically going to get nominated every time he makes a movie now? You know what I mean? But, like, who knows? Do I think Robert Eggers might need to be nominated for The Northman, but he won't? Probably.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. But there's a lot this year. There's a lot of stuff that kind of came out that I'm interested to see if it gets left behind or what. We'll see how they treat Top Gun.
That's what I was just about to bring up. Like, what did you think about? Because Top Gun Maverick was fantastic. I think.
I mean, it was fantastic, but I mean, what special effects and stuff were definitely. But I'm not looking at any sort of acting awards for that.
No.
Best Picture, I don't know.
Yeah. If you had to name, maybe not in like any particular order, but like if you had to, off the top of your head, could say like your top 3 right now of the year, what do you think they would be?
My top 3 movies of the year
so far, yeah.
Oh, well, number 1's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Sure.
That's just the way it is. To be honest, I have to think about the others. The Outfit is definitely up there.
So good.
I don't have my phone on me to look back at like our tickets to see the movies that we saw, but I really like The Northman. I mentioned that just a few minutes ago. I was a big fan of that one.
Some of those are just mine that I've just seen, like The Banshees of Inisherin. I think you'd like that one a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I did really like Nope a lot.
Nope was really good. I really liked Pearl.
Underrated. Pearl was good. I liked Pearl. This only goes back to July.
Oh, you might have to like put it to like of all time at somewhere at the top.
Man, I don't know. That's tough.
It's a lot of really good stuff.
All I've really like thought about is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like that's been my favorite of 2022.
Michelle Yeoh just got I think she just got Time's most interesting person of she got something with Time magazine, I feel like. And I can't remember what it was. Hold on.
Yeah, so if I'm, or at least the stuff I've seen,
Icon of the year.
Yeah, I got you. I haven't seen everything in theaters this year. Obviously, like I didn't see X or Pearl in theaters, or Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I liked all of those.
2022 has been a killer year for movies.
Yeah,
it really has been.
I did like Barbarian a lot. That was really good.
I wish the Academy honestly, even especially because I've gotten better at watching horror movies. I feel like I wish the Academy were more open and accepting of horror as like a genre for nominations other than like costume and makeup. Because like Mia Goth's performance in Pearl, that final monologue that she does, where like I was heading to like bed. I was like coming out from doing a stream or something, and you had been watching it, and you were right at that scene. And I literally came around and sat down and rewatched it with you after I'd already watched the movie that day, because it's just so good.
Right. Oh yeah. No, it was really good. A very hammy performance. But it was meant to be.
Yeah.
It was meant to be pretty hammy.
Absolutely. Getting back into Avatar though, could you say if you had like a top 3 moments from this movie? Like, could you?
Top 3 moments?
Yeah, or scenes, or just anything with it. I mean, it's hard. It's a flat movie in the sense of like a story, so I don't really know if like I even have
Not really
a top moment. You know?
I mean, I like the whole end of the movie, like the whole final act, like the whole battle. And like them going to destroy the tree, and they get the like that was very entertaining. There was nothing wrong with that. I guess when you start to learn like everything's like bioluminescent and stuff at night, like that's really cool. But no, I mean, there's not like a ton of stuff where it's like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah,
it's just not for me. Honestly, it's just not. Like I said, a very good looking movie, but it's really.
I did think it's an interesting thing how like everything is connected in some sort of like synapse or neurons, or like how they like plug their ponytails into, or like their hair into.
That's really weird. I don't think I like that. I don't think I like that part at all.
That was not your favorite bit, huh?
I don't really think that stood out for me. It's kind of strange.
I like the line that Sigourney Weaver does is, "Don't play with that. You'll make yourself go blind." Like it's
right.
Or
she was really good in it.
She was really good. Dr. Augustine. Right? Is that? Yeah. I keep going back to that one niche podcast that other people probably don't listen to. Right. So just some fun trivia that I pulled up again on IMDb. The Na'vi language was created entirely from scratch by linguist Dr. Paul R. Fromer. James Cameron hired him to construct a language that would be easy for actors to pronounce, but would not resemble any human language. I always thought that was interesting how they just make the like, especially like Elven or like Elfish or whatever it's called in Lord of the Rings, and how they do all of that. That's always really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it.
So again, James Cameron wanted to originally have this film released in 1999. The special effects he wanted would have increased the budget to $400 million. So no studio would actually fund the film for him, which is why he ended up shelving it for like 8 years. That's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. Most animal noises heard in the movie are recycled dinosaur noises from Jurassic Park.
There you go.
I love, thank you IMDb for all of these little tidbits. I'm sure that all of my friends anyone who's listening to this that are big Avatar stans are probably going to be furious at our lukewarm
sorry
feelings towards it. We're just like,
it's fine. I'm not knocking anyone who likes it. It's just
I can see why they like it.
Right. Me too.
You know what I mean? I'm probably of the other camp where if I had seen this in 2000, you know what? No, probably not. Because knowing how I was in 2009, I probably wouldn't have cared that much, which is why I never went to go see it. If I had my feelings on movies the way that I do now, back in 2009, and I saw Avatar then I would be in the camp of everybody going, oh my God, this is the greatest visual thing of all time that I've ever seen.
That makes sense.
But 2009, Allison did not. She was too busy going to shows and getting piercings.
True.
And looking like an idiot.
There you go.
With her septum ring. So with all that being said, I think it's fair time to kind of go into Letterboxd and give it my star ranking. And hey, maybe while we're here, go over, because this is the last movie that we're watching of 2022. So we can maybe even do a quick little wrap up of how I feel about the movies I watched this year on this podcast, if you have any commentary on any of it. But for Avatar, out of 5 stars for me personally, for the film itself, including the storyline, it's a 3-star film, I think.
That's about right.
I think that's fair, right? I think that's fair to say. All right, we'll save that. Now let's look at, since we're here, so as everybody knows, I've been doing a Letterboxd list where I have been ranking all of my movies that I have watched so far in this podcast. So let's see what we got here. So altogether, I've watched 33 movies, now 34 with this podcast. Let's see how this ended up. Well, I'm going to let you know right now, Avatar is not ending up in the top 10. So we can just kind of go through the top 10 real quick, and any notes that you have, love, feel free to pipe in. But for number 10, I put The Hustler, which is Paul Newman. Great movie. Number 9 is To Live and Die in LA. Number 8 is Paddington, because that bear is adorable. Number 7 was Paddington 2. Mm-hmm. Number 6, we did Psycho, which I mean, it actually sat in my top 5 for the longest time, but we'll get to what knocked it out. But number 5, I put Blazing Saddles.
Okay, interesting.
Number 4 is Better Off Dead.
Okay.
Which is great. And speaking of, next week, we got a nice little interview with Diane Franklin coming up. So that's going to be fun. Number 3 is actually Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's what caused Psycho to get knocked out. And then number 2, we put Coming to America. And then number 1 is still When Harry Met Sally.
Very interesting list. You're big on the light comedies.
I love a good comedy. Let's see here. I mean, I got The Burbs at 32, so they're not all.
Yeah, I know.
I watched a lot of, I watched some really interesting movies this past year. I think the one that surprised me the most with how much I ended up enjoying it is probably Psycho.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I got Tremors. Tremors 2 is number 14.
Is that above or below the first Tremors?
Above. The first Tremors is 15.
Weird.
This Tremors 2 was fun.
I know.
It's the Fred Ward of it all. I can't talk apparently today. But it's so fun. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're on this last movie covering episode, because I really appreciate you being a trooper as I had to watch some of the longest, most boring things.
Oh yeah.
To you on the face of the planet. A lot of dialogue.
It's not that they're boring. It's just I've seen a bunch of them.
Right. Like the Moneyballs and the Social Networks of it all, with the Aaron Sorkin writing of it all. But yeah, no, overall, I think this has been a really fun year for me with this show.
Yeah.
For sure.
You Savako. You rose to the challenge.
Savako, I love how you're bringing it. Thank you for bringing it back around. That was amazing. So yeah, I think Avatar will probably end up somewhere within, I don't know, probably put it above The Color of Money, but behind Moneyball. So it'll probably sit at,
Fair.
Yeah, so it'll probably sit at 23, knock everything else down a few. But yeah, so all in all, we'll eventually go see The Way of Water when it comes out.
Right. Yeah, it comes out this Friday.
Yes. So we will definitely get into that. And with that being said, Frank, my love, you got anything to plug? Where can people find you?
I don't have anything to plug. Nothing.
I got nothing.
Flicking real.
Woo. And if you're listening and if you're enjoying what you're hearing, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review Flick and Reel on whatever audio platform you're listening to us on. Please don't be offended about our feelings on Avatar. If you're listening on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe and comment your thoughts on this episode and any of the other previous movies we've covered so far. And be sure to hit the bell icon to get notifications for any time we have new content drop. You can follow the show on Twitter at NeverSeenItFNR, and you can follow me at Allison Salamone. And until next time, my friend, be safe, happy holidays, and let's go watch the movies.
Ewa.
Bye.